Have you ever wanted to buy something and your inner voice says you don't deserve it? Or maybe you're really tired and then you want to sleep, but then your inner voice says you have no right to rest. Or you just genuinely feel like good things are just not for you. Or sometimes you're really tired, but then when you're just about to rest, your inner voice says you're just lazy, and in this way, you will never get anywhere. Well, if you've ever had thoughts like this, that is good news. This video is gonna take care of you. These are all signs of self-frustration. Let's get popping. But before we move forward, we must know that self-discipline and self-frustration are very mistaken. A self-disciplined person will normally forego certain activities and satisfactions because other goals are of greater importance to him. A good example may be a married couple which wants to save up for their first home, and then maybe they don't go out, they don't go on vacations. Or it could be a student or an artist devoted to his work and then will restrict his social life because he needs to be quiet and to concentrate. Now, Karen Horney, who was a famous psychoanalyst, realized that so many people do not know the difference between healthy self-discipline and frustration. Now, this is because to be self-disciplined, we need to know two things. The first thing is that we need to know our limitations in time, energy, and money. And the second thing that we need to know is our real wishes, and we must have the capacity to renounce our less important wishes for a more important one. But the problem is that most of us are neurotic. And when we are neurotic, we do not believe that we have any limitations in life, which is the first important thing for self-discipline. And the other thing is that we also don't have genuine wishes. What we feel that we wish for are actually just compulsive needs. And a good example of a compulsive need is a man who is looking for a girlfriend. You may think that he genuinely wants love, but the truth is that he's so insecure about himself and he needs to feel loved so that he can not experience that self-hate. So his wish for a girlfriend is not actually a wish, but he needs it so that he can escape from himself. Now, as we get into the neurotic self-frustration, as a human being, we must first know that when we are neurotic, we're just naturally frustrated individuals. The more neurotic we are, the more frustrated we are. Why are we frustrated? This is because when we are neurotic, we have this ideal image in our head that says we are godlike, and so we should not have any limitations to life. But the fact is that these claims for unlimited powers are never unfulfilled. We cannot have unlimited money, unlimited time. So the world comes and teaches us a hard lesson. And so we are frustrated at the world for not proving to us that we are godlike. Okay, so now we must first understand where this self-frustration comes from. The self-frustration is just a form of self-hate. So we already hate ourselves. Where does this come from? It's because we have this ideal image of that cool person that we want to become. Why do we want to be that cool person? It's because that cool, invincible person provides solutions for all the issues that we have faced in life. But then, while we're trying to become that ideal image, which is the wrong way to go, then we start to hate our actual selves because we're not that cool person, and this is the self-hate, and then it manifests itself as self-frustration. Hence, we have these voices in our head. There are two things that show the frustrative character of self-hate. The first is our taboos and enjoyment, and the second is our crushing of our hopes and aspirations. These taboos and enjoyment destroy the innocent wishing or doing of anything that is in our true self-interest and makes our life enjoyable. A good example is a woman who wants to go on a vacation, but then her inner self says, no, you don't deserve that. Or she wants to buy a new dress, and then it says, you have no right to buy a dress. Or sometimes they actually have inner dialogues with themselves, and then maybe after a good day's work where the person has worked really hard and wants to rest, the voice says to them, you're just lazy. But then the person says, no, I'm actually just really tired. And then the voice is like, oh no, that is sheer self-indulgence. And in this way, you will never become successful. And then in that way, the person either takes a break while feeling guilty, or they go back to work while feeling really tired. In any way, they're not achieving anything. Now, the trickiest thing about self-hate is that it can hide itself into something that looks good on the outside, but is actually just very detrimental. For example, people who feel like they're socially conscious, and then they think to themselves, oh, as long as other people live in the slums, I should not have a nice apartment. Or as long as some people are starving, I should not spend any money of food. Of course, we have to actually test out these people and ask them, okay, now the money that you're not going to spend on the food or the apartment, why don't you buy packages and then contribute it to those countries that are suffering? And in this way, we see that it was not actually social consciousness, but it was just self-hate that was making them behave like this. Now, we must also remember that this ideal image in our head has the need for glory. It wants to triumph and then have a lot of prestige in the society. So, one tricky thing is that some people are actually so stingy on themselves, but at the same time, they spend very lavishly on things that add to their prestige, like giving to a charity, giving to a party, buying antiques. It's like as if they live by a law that says, oh, you should slave for glory, but you should not do anything that makes you comfortable and happy. We have to understand that the reason why it's so hard to get rid of these taboos is that the penalty for breaking them is anxiety, right? For example, some people may be going to a party, and while they're having fun, they think to themselves, oh, you're going to pay for this. And in this way, it's hard to get out of this rut. Now, another effect of self-frustration is crushing of hopes. When we are neurotic, the word never can be very powerful. It can make us believe that we will never get over our fears, dependencies, or anxieties. Even when we see actual improvements, we may still believe that we might never actually be free. A good example is a patient who had an anxiety and had a phobia. The person did not think about it for a week, and instead of being happy that, oh, I had forgotten about my issues for a week, the person came back very frustrated. He said, oh, I could only do it for a week. This is the worst. And then they become very discouraged, and then they relapse. Now, the last and the most hidden self-frustration is a taboo on any aspiration that we have for ourselves. It doesn't have to be very huge things that may be setting up like a company like Tesla, but it could be on anything that means using our own resources or becoming a better and stronger person. The person thinks to themselves, you will never amount to anything. Now, with taboos and aspiration, there are two types of people, and both of them are actually really sad. The first type are people who actually do something in their lives and then they actually try to become better, but then they don't do it well enough because deep down they don't believe that they deserve success. A good example is a scientist. This guy was really smart and he was making new findings in science that were going to change the world, but he never really thought of these things as world changing. All he wanted to do was make a living. It was until he went to some analysis that he found out that he has been stopping himself all of this time. The good thing for him is that his existing gifts and his existing ambition were too strong to be stunted by the self-hate. Unfortunately, for some people, it doesn't happen. And that leads us to group 2. The second group are those people who resign and don't try anything new in life. They expect nothing in life and they put their goals too low and they live beneath their abilities and psychic means. In conclusion, we can see that self-frustration is an element of self-hate. It destroys our innocent wishing for anything that is in our true self-interests. It also sometimes crushes our hopes, and then when we are trying to make progress, we feel like, oh, we can never move forward, so we never really get anywhere. And also, it puts a taboo on any aspirations we may have, and we've seen that there's some type of people who go forward in life and do things, but they never do them well enough to become exceptional. And then there is another type of people who just sit there and then just don't do anything. Now, you may think they're lazy, but this is actually self-hate. So we should all look out for each other and help each other. And I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and check out the other videos on my channel. Have a good day.